The Leafs have shocked absolutely everyone in their first game in Sweden, taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Is William Nylander an early MVP candidate for the NHL season? And with the Leafs in Sweden, is there a little bit of a trade freeze? Have they made some trades they're not telling us about? There's a lot of rumors swirling, but we will get into that later in the video. Guys, my name is Darius Domingues, and this is Leafs Digest. All right, and the first order of business today, the Leafs have absolutely shocked everybody in their first game in Sweden against the Detroit Red Wings, coming back from down 2-0 to take the lead 3-2 and hold on to the lead in the final minute and win the game. But the first thing I wanted to mention is the uniforms that the Leafs were wearing. All right, a little bit of a spin on them today. They had the blue helmets with the white jerseys and equipment. I thought it looked pretty sharp. It was something different. The GMs had a meeting earlier this week where they voted that it was allowed to happen. You can mix and match your equipment as long as it doesn't conflict with other teams. So I think it was a cool look and, just something different and something to show that they're playing away from home. I thought it just added to the vibe, which was cool. So nice little thing there. And then Sheldon Keefe went with an all Swedish lineup, which I thought was awesome. Matt Sundin, read off the starting lineup to the team and gave them a little pump up speech in the beginning. And just to see an NHL legend in your dressing room before a game is probably enough to get you on your toes and ready to play. And Matt Sundin, an absolute legend, my favorite Maple Leaf of all time. So just awesome to see. There was one little exception though. Max Domi was in the starting lineup, definitely not a Swede, but an honorary Swede growing up with Matt Sundin and being in the Leafs locker room all the time. And speaking of Max Domi, he started this game off red hot, I thought. He was getting into it physically with Moritz Seider from the Red Wings, one of their best players, taking him off the ice for 4 minutes, because there was double minors in there, which I thought was great. And he was just asserting himself physically when not much was going on. And that's exactly what he was brought in to do. So I think that's just been awesome to see him, finally, asserting himself into games the way we know he should and could, and why he was brought in, right? He's not necessarily brought in to score all the time, but since he's moved to center, I think he's found his game, which is really nice to see. Obviously, the Leafs thought they scored and opened the scoring with the Marner shot where Wallman fell into the net. Weird play. By NHL rules, technically that should count if it did cross the line. Didn't count. Weird. The game kind of went off the rails from there, where the Red Wings took a 2-0 lead, one of them being a weird penalty shot play where Riley put his hand on the puck in the crease. It's a penalty shot. You can't argue it. And then they get one back right after with Lucas Raymond, another Swede, getting on the board. So the crowd's into it now, and it's 2-0 Red Wings. But one thing I wanted to talk about is the Leafs' discipline and bench management this year. I mean, if you take a look at this tweet from David Alter, too many men called on Toronto. They move into sole NHL lead in bench minors this season with 6. That is far too many. They're in the lead in something that you don't want to be in the lead of. And the bench management has been terrible this year. I hate it. The guys are not changing like they should. In minor hockey, you're taught to skate off to the bench as hard as you can when you're making a change. And they are not doing that. And they're taking some lazy and dumb penalties. I don't like to see that, but we will talk about the defense and the discipline in just a second. But, what did look good is Bertuzzi gets on the board, which is fantastic. Bertuzzi has been knocking at the door and trying to find his game. I think he's found his game in this game. All right. This was probably his best Leafs performance so far this season. And it's really encouraging to see. And then Nylander, the home country boy, the star of Sweden, gets on the board as well. He ties the game, which was great to see, especially with, all of his family in attendance, with, the entire Nylander family watching. Michael Nylander there in the middle, the NHL legend, which is great to see him there. His grandmother was also there in attendance to watch him play for the first time live in an NHL game, which was fantastic to see. And there's the William Lagesson family in the front row right before them. So just awesome to see them all in attendance. And Nylander gets on the board. He also had 3 points in this game, which was great to see as well. I mean, if you take a look at this tweet from Chris Johnson, 3-point performance from William Nylander on a night where he secured 91 tickets for friends and family to attend the game. So a lot of people in Stockholm tonight to watch William Nylander play his first NHL game outside of North America. And I guess the Leafs' first NHL game outside North America for that matter, which is crazy in the 107-year history of the team. But then, Bertuzzi at it again, makes a great pass across the crease to Tavares, and the Leafs take the lead 3-2. Absolutely fantastic play. And Tavares has looked great this year too. But by far that line's best game of the year. They looked fantastic. They were clicking on all cylinders, and Nylander is just pushing the pace for them. It's really because of Nylander. I mean, he's going to get paid, whether it's in Toronto or not. I really hope it's in Toronto. I think it will be in Toronto. He doesn't want to play anywhere else, but he's absolutely going to get paid, and he deserves it. But to talk about Bertuzzi for just a second, Bertuzzi, absolutely his best game as a Leaf. Encouraging to see because he started the season slow and they were trying to find him a spot in the lineup. I think he belongs on that second line. Tavares and Nylander definitely click. I wouldn't split them up. Nylander is having an MVP caliber season, and Bertuzzi is just seems like he's along for the ride, but he made a difference today. So very, very nice to see. But one thing that hasn't been nice to see, all right, is the Leafs defense. I think it is time. The Leafs need to fix the defense. The decor is not good enough, all right? And one thing that a lot of people are not bringing up is they have far too many left-handed defensemen. Even guys they're bringing up from the Marlies, they're all left-handed, and they're playing on their offsides, and it's putting them at a disadvantage. So there's been rumors swirling. Who are they going to acquire? Is there a trade that's happening? Is Klingberg even in Sweden, which I think is hilarious? Nobody's seen him in any videos or anything. So is he even there? Maybe he's being held back for a trade. There are rumors, obviously, we've talked about it on the channel, and it's just been in the mainstream now for a while, of Chris Tanev and or Nikita Zadorov coming over from Calgary. I think those would be great gets. Nikita Zadorov, bigger body. Chris Tanev, right-handed shot. I think the Leafs need another right-handed shot for sure on that blue line, especially with Klingberg out. But the thing with Klingberg is he's not very hard to play against, all right? He's a good offensive defenseman. But the thing with the Leafs is they don't have 6 guys that are difficult to play against. They have a couple guys that are very skilled, but if you look at every team that wins in the Stanley Cup playoffs and the Stanley Cup, they have a couple guys who are skilled and a couple guys who are just difficult to play against. And I think if you get a good combination of that, the Leafs have a very scary team. And I just don't see that from the back end right now. They need to acquire maybe 1-2 more definitive guys who are scary and hard to play against, and I think they'll make some noise in the playoffs. We have been saying that for years, but I think if they go out and do it, it'll make a huge difference. So I think a guy like Tanev, who's a right-handed shot and also very difficult to play against, would be absolutely perfect for this Leafs defense, because they're relying a lot on the goaltending too with the poor defensive performances sometimes, and I don't think you can with the personnel in net for the Leafs. Woll has looked good, but like we've seen, if the defense is not there, it doesn't matter how good Woll plays, he's going to let in goals. And same goes for Samsonov. He hasn't been fantastic so far this season. He's had some solid performances, especially last week against the Vancouver Canucks, but nothing, to kind of hang your hat on. And, we don't need defense. We can rely on Sammy. I wouldn't say that's the case at all. So, but to move on from that, it's obvious the Leafs have to fix something about their defense. I think they'll do something once they come back from Sweden. But to move on, is William Nylander having an MVP caliber season? For my money, right now, what he's doing, especially in a second line role, he could be the NHL's MVP of the year. He's putting up crazy points. He's on pace for 50 goals. He's getting, multiple assist nights every night. He's putting in the work. He's a good defensive player, like an underrated defensive player. He gets the puck out a lot, and he has good zone entry numbers as well. But yeah, I think it's just it's gonna be fun to watch him down the stretch here. He's had an incredible start to the season, 15 games in a row with a point, which is just incredible. Like, what do you say about that? Could he go 20? Who knows? He's on the same streak and path that Marner was last year. It's just super exciting. Every year the Leafs have one guy that just takes off, and I'm glad it's Nylander this year, even though the contract is up. That's a little scary, but I think it's a good time of year. Let me know what you think about this time of year, because usually the Leafs have a tough October, and this year it was a little tough, but they're still atop of the standings. They're still right there, and actually, I think they jumped into a divisional playoff spot today with this win. But, they're right there. Last year, they were far behind, and then they clicked in November. And they usually always click in November. And this third period today shows that, when they get going, they can really get going. So I think if they add a few more pieces, man, they're going to be on a roll. This is a good team. They know how to move the puck. So when they're on, they're on. And I think this is the time of year that normally they're rolling. So I'm excited to watch it. And I'm excited to watch Nylander continue to do his thing and just get to that next level. It's super exciting. So let me know what you think the Leafs should do in terms of the defense. Let me know what you think of Nylander's performance so far this year and in Sweden. And let me know how you think the Leafs will fare in their game at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday against the Minnesota Wild. So weird. I mean, waking up that early on a Sunday to watch the Leafs, I don't think we've never had to do that. That is just weird. So, everyone rest up and enjoy the game on Sunday. Check out the channel for some more Leafs content. My name is Darius Domingues. This has been Leafs Digest, and we will see you in the next video.